Welcome back to another week of Fantasy Football Breakdown. La Familia Mista, Week 8 breakdown. Sorry for the delay, but let's jump right into it with my favorite matchup of the week. Team Ilucci, Vinny Seam, beat the bad man again. Rooster Keenan went down 130 to 103. I love it. Vinny had the high score of the week with 130 points. And I don't know what I wrote there. Anyway, Vinny was led by A.J. Brown, who is scary good. He had 29 points. He got 20 points from Kirk Cousins and 18 from Breeze Lightning. However, Kirk Cousins probably done for the season. Ouch. Keenan got 27 points from Christian McCaffrey, and newsflash, he's still really good. I think he has 17 or 18 straight games of a touchdown. Insane. Matt, you were right about that white boy. He can run. Keenan also got 22 points for Tua, and Keenan would want me to say that he got 75 points from his bench. But that don't win fantasy football games. Moving on to the next matchup with a God among men versus I'm a worker. That's a big game from Dom and a terrible game from Matt. 127 to 80. Dom with the win. Dom waddled his way to a win. Waddle had 21 points. Baker went for 21. And boy, it must feel good to have a quarterback do something good for you, Dom. Kittle also had 19, and he got 13 points from the Giants defense last week. How'd they do last week? Jets, Jets. Had to throw that in there. Matt had no player over 20 points. Tough to win that way. He got -3 from the Eagles. As a self-respecting Giants fan, how do you play the Eagles? Drop him. I'll take him. He did get 14 points from McLaurin, who was a good game. And the question is Jonathan Taylor injured? Seemed like he might have sprained his ankle last week, but they're saying he's good. Moving on to the next matchup. Homies with the extra chromies. 103 over Buckle Up Buttercup with 83 points. Huge win with two 6-1 teams. Graham came out on top. Graham was led, obviously, by Travis Etienne, who is having a monster year. We need him to start chilling out. Too many touchdowns for that man. 18 points from TJ Hockenson, but he had a terrible game from Patrick Mahomes with 5.6 points. I also recall Patrick Mahomes will be named in the suicide letter. Joey did get a 30 burger from Josh Allen, and that was about it from his team. The only other person with 10 points on his team was the Kansas City defense. But Joey did leave 32 points on his bench. Ouch, from DeAndre Hopkins. And honestly, Joey had a big injury this week on his team. Devastating. He lost Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's not even on the team, you say. I understand, but Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, ooh, that's going to hurt. Moving on to the next matchup between Graham Sniffs and Team Stingo. Logan, back on track. He got 28 points from Joe Burrow, leading the way to his 94-90 victory over Paul. He got 17 points from Javonte and 14 from Saquon. How'd them Giants do? Anyway, Logan did leave 32 points on the bench with CeeDee Lamb, so he could have had an even bigger matchup. Paul had a bad game from Lamar with only 12 points, and the way Paul's team is built, he will not win if Lamar doesn't have a good game. He did get a great game from Austin Eckler with 20 and Josh Jacobs with 16. And his backup kicker had 6 points on the bench. Moving on to the next matchup is Bijan Mustard versus the leader of the family. And I was led by my sweet, sweet Jahmyr Gibbs with 27 points on Monday Night Football. Oh, it was lovely. Final score of 118-106. And I slept so much better this week in my household due to this win. I got 24 points from Justin Herbert. Jordan Addison threw in 18 himself, but he lost his quarterback with Kirk Cousins going down. I left a lot of points on my bench as well, 78 total points. Siobhan got another monster performance from Alvin Kamara. They do not stop throwing that man the ball. It's insane. She also got 20 points from Jamar Chase. That's right. And as she would say, it's not fair. My team's good. But not her record. Moving on to the closest matchup of the week. Megatron J versus Cookin' and Mixon, a monster matchup. Decided by 0.56 points. And what I just said was the most exciting part of that matchup because, oh God, this is a matchup between Doo-Doo Brown and Poopy Pants. Jared was led by Jalen Hurts with 27 points and 21 points from Tyreek Hill. Jared needs to find one more person to help his team. Otherwise, it ain't going to help him. James got a monster performance from the Gus Bus with 28 points and 19.2 points from Gabe the Babe. James got some points from his quarterback. No, he didn't. He got 0 points from his quarterback. He had 28 points from Dak on his bench. He had 3.82 points from little Kenny Pickett from Ocean, New Jersey on his bench. If he would have played either one of those quarterbacks, he would have won. But as James would say, don't worry. Adams is going to have a monster performance on Monday. And he got 1.6 points. The final score of that game was 87.56 to Jared and 87 to James. Man, just play your players, people. My Lord. James really must want to sing at the end of this season. I'm hoping a Mariah Carey number. Moving on to the free agent acquisitions. And boy, there were some free agent acquisitions this week. People are looking at their teams, just shaking their heads. And, Logan spent $12 on Devin Singletary. Dom spent $11 on Lenny Fournette, who just signed up in Buffalo. Siobhan is looking for a tight end and spent some $5 on Trey McBride. Vinny added Sam Howell for $5. And Vinny added the Muth for $5. Jared added Fergalicious. And Dom added James's favorite player, Taysom Hill, this week. Running back, quarterback, tight end. Who knows what position he plays. There were a lot of other small pickups, kickers, and this, that, and the third for $0. Check it out if you want. Moving on to next week's matchups. And we got some fun ones. I take on Logan this week. And as your former boss, Logan, I promise you, if you beat me, you're fired from a job you don't have anymore. Vinny's taking on Siobhan, and it's a 6-2 team versus 2-6 team matchup. Let's see who comes out on top of that one, because it's actually a pretty good matchup. Matt takes on Joey, and it's a pretty good matchup with a 5-3 team and a 6-2 team. Two teams battling for top spots. Paul is taking on Rocka Rooster, and you know, for me to say I'm rooting for Paul, that means a lot. Beat the bad man again. Keep beating the bad man. Jared takes on Dom in a matchup where two teams, if they want any chance of making a run to the playoffs, need to win this week. Otherwise, man, they better warm up them singing voices or something. And the final matchup of the week is Graham versus James. That's a 7-1 team versus a 1-7 team. And the question is, this week on Fantasy Football Files, will James actually play a quarterback? Tune in next week to find out. Good luck to everybody in fantasy football this week, and let's have a fun weekend.